good morning and welcome to Sport for Business, where we are looking at media this morning. We're joined by Paul O'Donoghue. He's the Executive Vice Chairman of Greencastle Media Group, whose name might not be familiar, but whose brands, SportsJoe.ie and Her.ie and Love and Dublin, who they all invested into last year, are very much in front of mind for Irish digital audiences. You're very welcome to Sport for Business, Paul.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Now, we are more familiar with you from your sporting background yourself. Played for Leinster back in the years. How did you transition from being an elite rugby player into a media baron?
Yeah, elite rugby player is very generous. I think got a couple of cameos, but yeah, it was very tricky, to be honest. It's not an easy transition. It's well documented. Obviously in the media, different stories around not just rugby but football and other sports. But yeah, it's a period of sort of re-identifying, really. You sort of don't realize I maybe wasn't a rugby nut, so I thought it would be easier for me than others. But it's actually it is quite hard to navigate, because even if you don't see yourself that way, everybody else sees you that way. So it takes some time, it takes some real thought and sort of figuring things out yourself and what makes you tick to sort of reconfigure and rebrand. So that was definitely a process, and a couple of very, very embarrassing moments integrating into an office environment that I learned from very quickly and had to learn from very quickly. So yeah, listen, ultimately a really good experience, turbulent, but really good. And again, you kind of, once you get comfortable with who you are post-professional sport, that's when I think you really start to see the benefits of some of the things you learned along the way in terms of work ethic and culture. Because when I first came out, I thought, geez, everyone will love all these attractive traits going from professional sport, but it's not so much the case. You have to build up experience, make a few mistakes, and figure out where you want to sit, really.
Everything has to be adapted. You did well. Greencastle, going in there, you made a few investments over in the UK, which gave experience in media. And then Ireland came back on the horizon when Niall McGarry's Joe empire hit turbulent waters. Tell us a little bit about the story about how you got involved and why you thought it was a good bet.
Well, it was something that we've been keeping tabs on for a while, because what we found there's a lot of attractive brands in the group, with her family, but with Joe, we found there was different to other publishers, social publishers and digital publishers in the space. It had real credibility in terms of its tone. The way you see it covered politics and news, the way it covered the elections in the UK, the Unfiltered show in Ireland, which was essentially the digital version of the Late Late Show. So it gave us a platform to explore other opportunities, specifically building out shows that we could develop new IPs, new formats, maybe get into some ancillary opportunities like live events. So that's why it was very attractive to us. And yeah, it's proving to be the case, really. The first, obviously, when you take a company out of administration in the UK and examinership in Ireland, it's not all a better roses. There's a reason it got there in the first place. So certainly some turbulent moments, of course there is, but ultimately it is what we thought it was. It is credible. The audience do engage with it the way we thought they would, and there's some great people in there in Ireland and the UK.
And you've maintained the brand, you've maintained that tone of voice. So it's, from a consumer point of view, it was almost a seamless transition. Was that intentional? Do you feel as though what's there at the moment is absolutely fit for purpose at the moment, or is this a continually developing journey?
Yeah, well, listen, we're only at the start of the journey, really. We're going to invest further into the organic content that we produce, but yeah, we see again the credibility of it as the bedrock. So we worked very hard in terms of the messaging. We've worked with a number of creative agencies around what the brand stands for, who they are, what we represent, and what our sort of editorial tone is. So that really is the foundation of everything. But now that we've kind of done a lot of hard work on that over the first couple of months, steadied the ship, got things starting to fire again, we're going to sort of really start to invest heavier, particularly into the creation of original programming. We've already doubled the editorial teams. We're looking to, we have hired a head of original content in Ireland, a lady called Lucia Gavin, who's vastly experienced in commissioning feature documentaries, non-scripted shows. So she comes in with 17 years of experience to develop that team. And we are doing the same in the UK, recruiting there. So you can kind of see the direction we're going, and we want to take it.
It can sometimes be challenging for media when you've got a base in Ireland and a base in the UK. The numbers obviously in the UK are going to be bigger. Is there definitely a long-term future for the Irish content which is appearing on the site?
Very much so. Very much so. It's a focus. It's a focus for us. And I mean, some shows will naturally work across the UK and Ireland. You know, like we have the House of Rugby UK. Sean O'Brien is on it. A well-known Carlo man, so it works for both audiences because a lot of the subject matter works, but there is some localization that obviously needs to be done. We have the GAA era in Ireland. We're going to develop that show, look at new iterations of it. So listen, certainly, like the brand will communicate with each side of the Irish Sea, but there will be definitely a localized element to it. There has to be.
There were challenges in the demise of the original version in terms of the confidence and the trust between the advertising and the marketing community and the services. Is that all been fixed now? Are you in a good place now with the local advertisers and agencies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, everything is built on relationships and trust. You know, it's not groundbreaking, but yeah, there was damage done around the time. You know, some of the maybe the associations with that incident, they've all been sort of eradicated, and you know, we've worked very hard to sit down with all the different stakeholders. And state our intentions and sort of state the sort of transparency moving forward. So we have a great team in there. Our commercial team has been completely transformed. And you know, I've had brands and I've had agencies contact me directly saying how relieved they are that, you know, this great brand is back and in a way that they feel they can engage with and move forward with. So yeah, it took some time, and listen, there's probably still a little bit of mending with people we don't know yet or haven't been unearthed, but that's part of the journey, right? Sure.
We've noticed perhaps that there's a greater collaboration with the sport rights. Some of the clips that you show, Premier Sports are one of your investors. Is that a way that you're looking at the future, that, you know, showing small snack size content from some of the bigger media rights contracts that are out there?
Yeah, well, particularly Joe Media on sports, it's nicely positioned kind of between digital and broadcaster, and it's become a kind of conduit, particularly for pay TV broadcasters. You know, Premier Sports are one of our investors. They are a pay TV operator in the UK and Ireland. And as part of that agreement, we get access to Serie A, La Liga, and Eredivisie rights. So what we do is during the week, we keep the conversation going. You know, we're speaking to the audience every day. And editorially, it works great for us. Again, builds on our credibility, the fact that we're dealing with these kind of stakeholders, but more importantly, drives the value to Premier Sports, and their major metric is the live broadcast and subscribers, right? So we're driving people there, and also the federations are delighted because maybe socially on social and on digital, it's been a real challenge for federations to try and engage with Gen Z, even millennials in a meaningful way. And we're well positioned to do that. But again, another example is DAZN, the global SVOD operators. We worked with them and Eddie Hearn to promote Canelo versus Saunders recently, to help drive pay-per-views around the UK and Ireland. And we created a really interesting editorial piece around Eddie Hearn commenting on some of his social media faux pas, and our audience absolutely loved it. And they didn't even, what was behind it, the commercial rationale behind it was irrelevant to them, because it was a great campaign, great piece of content, and everybody wins.
Yeah, it's like sports media is becoming like sports teams, that you need the right players with the right skills in the different positions in order to deliver, and that seems to be the case. Last week was a tricky one, though, particularly in Ireland, from a perspective of media and sports rights and things like that being seen as an ever-expanding bubble. We saw the demise of Watch LOI. That will be coming back in a different format without RTE in the second half of the SSE Electricity League season. And we also saw the demise, not unexpected, of Air Sports. Are there opportunities now with fewer players in the marketplace that you might be looking at working in towards?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the kind of distance between digital and linear television is certainly closing, and the relationship is getting closer. In terms of where we sit, it feels like we're very comfortable where we are. We certainly want to be seen as a facilitator to the big pay TV operators, and we see a way that we can commission and create shows that can be simulcast across our digital distribution channels and also sit on linear television. But in terms of our intentions to suddenly overnight become a pay TV operator, I don't see that happening. I see some shows, if we see an appetite, maybe we could start doing mini subscriptions around some of our premium programming or premium offerings, but I don't suddenly see us pivoting to being a broadcaster, if that's what you're asking. No.
It's a world that is continually changing, and it's one that you've stepped into with confidence and with financial backing behind you. It's a journey that we're going to drop back in on you over the coming months as well, to see how it's going, because it's changing day by day. But for the moment anyway, Paul O'Donoghue from Greencastle Media, and in Ireland from the Joe Media Empire, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us on Sport for Business.
Thanks, Rob. Chat to you soon.